My name's Gordon Finley, and my dog's name is Frankie.
Can you spell Gordon for me?
Gordon. Last name is Finley, F as in Frank, Inley.
As in particular spelling.
Capital Frankie. Hi, my name's Gordon Finley. I was a staff sergeant in the United States Marine Corps and enlisted in 1976 and got out in 1995. I was down in the Falkland Island crisis in '79. I was also in Desert Storm and Desert Shield and all around the world. What brought me to Patriot Assisted Dog is I had a house fire back in 2013, and my PTSD really took a dive, and my wife put me into the hospital. And while I was in the hospital, another veteran came in, and he had a service dog, and I started talking to him about how did he get his dog certified, and he said he got it through Patriot Assisted Dogs. So I called Patriot Assisted Dogs and asked them what I could do to get my dog certified for my PTSD, and at that time they told me I had to take the advanced course, intermediate course, and beginner's course at PetSmart, and then come up and have a temperament shot or a temperament test done. And then I went to training, got them CGC certified, and then got them public access certified also to become a service dog. When I was over in Desert Storm and Desert Shield, I seen some stuff I really don't want to describe. I was next to the oil wells. Just a lot of, I guess if you want to say it, terrible things. After I got Frankie certified and went through all the training, he wakes me up from nightmares. When I have panic attacks, he jumps up into my face, calms me down. I have road rage. When I get mad at other drivers and stuff, he kind of calms me down and gets where I can scratch his head and stuff. Reminds me when to take medication. He won't eat his breakfast unless I take my pills. He's just very comforting to be around. Oh, if I didn't have Frankie, I would probably be a nervous wreck. I was spending between 20 and 22 hours a day in my bedroom. And worst case scenario, I'd probably be dead. In 2011, 2013, I had a house fire. And Frankie was the only one that was left in the house in a kennel. And he got severely burned and stuff like that. And right after the fire itself is where my PTSD just crashed and burned. And that's when they put me in the hospital. And then that's where I found out how to get Frankie certified.
My name is Ken, and this is my wife, Linda. I am a Vietnam vet from 1965 to later in '69. I was a helicopter pilot and did search and rescue. When I got out of the service, I became a law enforcement officer because it seemed to help me deal with the situations I had when I was in the service. Unfortunately, as the time went on and I physically couldn't do it anymore, I had to stop being a police officer, and I noticed that I was having trouble dealing with just regular things, and I asked my doctors at the VA, and they suggested that I should probably get a service dog because he could help me out with some of my problems, such as my PTSD, my medical problems, and trying to live a normal life. When I was recommended to get a dog, I started asking other vets who had dogs where they got theirs, because I was looking for the ones that had well-behaved, mannered dogs. And I happened to run across an individual who had a Patriot Assistance dog, and after monitoring him, I decided that's where I would like to try and get my dog. So the process started, and I mailed in all the requirements and the psychiatrist's recommendation and other doctors. And approximately 6 to 8 months later, I heard from them, and they gave me an interview to come to PADS to hopefully get a service dog. The class was a week long. It was teaching me more than teaching the dog, and there was a lot of important things I learned. My dog does for me. He reminds me to take my medication, and people wonder how that works. And a lot of times, if you feed your dog at the same time that you get your medication, it's a win-win for both. They get their meals, and I get my medication. When I'm depressed and I feel down, my dog will run over and get it in my lap and lay his head against my shoulder and just stay there until I calm down. They say that he can feel the beating of my heart at a rapid rate, and when it slows down, he gets down. I used to get the sweats at night awful bad from memory problems, and when he realizes I have the sweats or I'm thrashing around, he'll come up and lick my face and wake me up and stay there until I feel that I'm better and he feels that I'm better. I'm very fortunate that my wife can have him when I'm in the hospital and places like that overnight, and he can stay with her. He has brought me to the hospital 4 different times for life and death situations. I don't know what I would do today without my service dog, Mac. Come here, Mac. And he brings such security and such love to me, and he doesn't ask anything of me, but just give him attention. I recommend that every possible vet, if he needs it, get a service dog, because what he's done for me, he can do wonders for others. I know he even helps my wife now and then. They kind of take on the problems of the family, and she has medical problems, and he monitors her. So he's working 24/7, and we just love him to death. And I know I couldn't live without him.
When Ken first got Mac, or before he got Mac, I felt like I had kind of lost my husband. He wasn't the same man that I had married. His PTSD had gotten worse. His anxiety had gotten worse. He wouldn't go into a store with me. He didn't like to go out to eat. He didn't like to go to the movies, didn't like to do anything. Once Mac came into our lives, that changed. We now travel and do some other things because Mac is there to help him with his PTSD, his anxiety. I don't worry as much at night anymore when he dreams, because I know Mac is there to wake him. I don't have to nag him to take his medication because Mac does it for me. Mac has been the biggest blessing in our lives, and Mac has given me back my husband and my best friend and my soulmate.
Hi, my name is Richard Vanden Eykel. When it's spelled.
Yeah.
V-A-N-D-E-N hyphen capital E-Y-K-E-L. Hi, my name is Richard Vanden Eykel. I'm a Vietnam vet. I served over there 1971, 1972. I am now considered 100% disabled due to Agent Orange. I got out of the military in July of 1973. After getting out of the service, I did a few different jobs and finally started working at the State Hospital in Jamestown, North Dakota, which I worked there for 28 years. After retiring, I started falling apart. I couldn't handle myself. The VA in Fargo started doing a little research and a little bit of testing, and they came to the conclusion that it was Agent Orange involved. So then they did some more testing, and I ended up, first of all, with diabetes that caused Agent Orange directly, nothing to do with the sugar, my eating habits or anything. Then I started getting very depressed. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't hardly get out of bed anymore. They started putting me on meds. And the funny thing about this is, the meds that they put me on were some of the meds that I actually passed when I was working at the state hospital. And it really was hard because it was like I didn't know that I was this bad. Well, I went along like this for a few years, and a friend of mine ended up getting a dog through Patriot Assistance. And it was his own dog, and then he trained it. Well, I stopped in and talked to Linda. And boy, was that the best thing that I ever did. That was in, I believe, March of 2016. And she figured that I would be in a class in October of 16, which was a long time to wait, in my eyes, was a long time to wait. We were on vacation in July of 16, and we had an incident happen with the motorhome that we ended up having to come home early. The day after we got home, I got a phone call from Linda. Can you be in Detroit Lakes on Monday morning? And I said, yes, I can. I was inside of that class which this is kind of hard to talk about because it's where my life has changed, and a lot of people can't see it or can't understand it. I was introduced to part of my life. This is my dog, Knight. He was a rescue dog that was trained here in Detroit Lakes. And I shouldn't say I picked him. He picked me by the way that he worked for me. My husband and I were out to a powwow up by Duluth, and I was there for 15 minutes, and I said, Gunnar, I've got to get out of here. Everything's closing in on me, and the noise is just there. I can't stand it. This was the beginning of July. In August, in northern Minnesota, there's a Vietnam vet that has a flag ceremony every year. And I've always wanted to go to it because I've heard it was such a good outing to do. And it was more or less based for Vietnam vets. This was in, I think about the 21st of August. We went, and I stayed through the whole program and through the whole meal. And this was only after having Knight less than a month. I could not have done it without him. Now, after having him for 2 years, he is mine. Probationary period is 2 years. We have given back because he cost the veterans absolutely nothing. So wherever I can give back, I give back. I've just helped out with 2 stand-downs, helping explain the program. Wherever I can say anything about the program, I do. It's the best thing that happened to me and to any veteran that needs a dog. We even we've had 4 dogs in our home that we've fostered. At this moment, all 4 of them are out with other veterans, which makes us proud that we can be there to help. We're there so that the dogs don't have to be in kennels until they find their own veteran. And all Linda has to do is pick up the phone if they need anything. We've gone and picked up 4 dogs that have needed to be picked up and brought back to the headquarters. And it's just something that we do. There's not anything that I wouldn't do for the organization, and because it's saved my life. It really has. It may not be, people may ask me why I don't look like I need a dog. I have panic and anxiety attacks. And we used to go out before I had the dog, and we kind of joke about it, but it wasn't a joke. Before I had Knight, Gunder was my dog. He would look at me and say, "We need to get out of here, don't we?" He could see in my face. Now Knight does that. And if by chance he thinks that I'm doing something that I'm getting to a point, he will get into my face and start, "Is Papa okay?" "Yes, Papa's okay. Yes, yes, yes." And he'll take my mind off of what I'm and he's with me every place I go, he goes. We have one problem. We both have separation anxiety. And once a month, he goes to the groomer, which we found a groomer that is excellent, that treats him really good, and he likes her. But we both have about a 3-hour period that I don't know which one of us suffers the most, because when he's done and I go to pick him up, he is just crazy. I have to take my glasses off because he gets that wild. If anyone out there is anywhere near needing help, if they're depressed, have anxiety, go to your provider, get a letter, get a hold of Linda, start the process. There's a dog out there for you. It's the best thing you could do for yourself. It changed my life. Let's change your life too.
My name is Richard Taffe, T-A-F-F-E. I'm Richard. I grew up in Buffalo. This is Thor. We were paired a year ago. I was Army infantry. I served for just under 8 years, 1999 to 2007. I was in Baghdad for the initial invasion and in Mosul for 2003, 2004. I found my Patriot Assistance dog through my therapist, Lucy, at the St. Cloud VA. Through our normal sessions that we do once every couple of weeks or so like that, we got into talking to it. And then she had told me that I probably would have been a good candidate for a dog and gave me a brochure and wrote me the letter to send off to Linda. And probably 6 months after the letter got sent off, I got a call from the board and had an interview for it. Some of the challenges I had were interacting with people out and about in the world, just going to the store caused high amounts of stress, was really nervous about going, would put it off until had absolutely no choice but to go make a run into town or whatever. Having nightmares, stuff like that, always checking the house thinking someone's there and there never was, stuff like that. We had a week training. Thor was the first dog that I worked with, and I felt a connection with him right away. You switch off dogs throughout the first handful of days, every couple of hours or so you can get to know different dogs and try to find the right one that fits with you, and we were paired up. He lets me be more social. I'm more apt to have a conversation with somebody because the conversation usually starts about him. Sit. And I can go out and go out on a daily life and not dread going out in public. He saved my life. Before him, I was in a pretty dark place. And now, not so much anymore. Life is back to normal. I would have told myself, get help sooner. The future for me now looks good, looks bright. There is one. Before I didn't think I had a future. He greets me first thing in the morning when I wake up. His face is on the bed, ready to go out. It's the first thing I see when I wake up, the last thing I see when I go to bed at night. And he's always there, gives me my confidence back. Thank you. You gave me my life back. Thank you. You gave me my life back. The same thing.
My name is Matthew Vleck,
I'm sorry, how do you spell your last name?
V-L-E-C-K.
Okay.
My name is Matt Vleck, and this is my Patriot Assistant dog, Doc. And I served in the United States Air Force from 1987 to 1991, and I got called back on inactive reserve about a year and a half after 91. I served during the Gulf War. I got stuck in the stop-loss during the Gulf War, which extended my 4-year enlistment, I guess, by several months. I was law enforcement. During the Gulf War, they actually sent me to Honduras. So I was there for Desert Shield and Desert Storm, just to do whatever was going on, deal with what was going on down there, basically. So I served most of my enlistment overseas in Europe, and all over Europe, basically. And I was stationed in California, and from California, that's when I got deployed to Honduras. Shortly after getting out of, there was already mention of me having issues before I even got out of the military. Just some things from the military that, well, just things from the military. And I had on my own I've been in a couple different facilities for help, private facilities. And they had told me, this was shortly after I got out of the military, and they had told me that they weren't geared for what I was dealing with. And I'm not one to, I don't like being labeled, and I still don't like being labeled with what they label me with. But so I went to St. Cloud VA Hospital Mental Health, the RRTP program, about 8 or 9 years ago. And yeah, it did what it did. 3 years ago, or something like that, I found myself back at the St. Cloud VA Hospital again for our RTP program. It was 4 weeks, something like that. And just the right people, working with the right people. The first time I went through, to tell you the truth, it was a waste of time, just the way it was ran back then. The second time then, I wasn't looking for anything for sure. And shortly into the first program, that's when they diagnosed me with PTSD, and they recommended me for the PTSD program. And there was about a 3-month waiting list, but they decided, overlooking at my records and what have you, that they're just going to keep me there. So I got out of one program and stepped right into the next program. And then it was there I ran into a gal who had a dog from Patriot Assistance Dog. And I got to talking with her a little bit. And so that kind of got me interested. You know, she told me how much the dog had helped her. And I had mentioned that to, or did I mention? Well, somehow it worked out that a couple of my caseworkers down there decided that a service dog would be my best option, because I don't like taking drugs and stuff like that for my issues. And so that got me on the road to a Patriot Assistant Dog. And everything, took care of all the business with that. And finally, 2 months ago, then I went through the Patriot Assistance Dog program and got Doc, who likes to lay down. And since I've gotten Doc, he makes life much more tolerable around other people, especially out in public with people I don't know. When I'm out and about in public, he brings me down if I start getting worked up. Brings me back to a good level, or a better level, I should say. And just having him there keeps me from getting up to a really worked up level in itself. So that's the biggest thing Doc does to me. He keeps me from blowing up or getting too worked up. And if I do get to that point, he brings me back down pretty quick. He brings it to my attention that I'm getting worked up, and just Doc being Doc pretty much takes care of that. So how he takes care of that is, say I'm walking through Walmart or Menards, and I'm starting to get anxious about things because I don't like being inside buildings. I just don't like it. And especially then you throw strangers into the mix, and I'm not crazy about that. And he will start looking at me. He's right there on my side, like glue. And he'll start looking at me, and really, he's always checking on me. But then all of a sudden, he'll really start looking at me and locking eye contact. And then that's when I know that I'm starting, to get anxious, or anxiety is, starting, the onslaught of it. And I'll kneel down and, pet with him and, assure him that it's all right. And he can tell if I'm BSing him. If I just go, oh, it's okay, and I stand up and resume what I was doing, well, then he really starts eyeballing me, and he'll start blocking me when I'm walking. And if I'm walking by myself, he just gets right in front of my legs, trying to not trip me, but stop me. Or he'll get between me and the grocery cart and do the same thing. And so I'll do the same thing again, get downhill. And if he thinks I'm still BSing him, trying to convince him that I'm calmed down and he knows I'm not, then he'll actually get up, put his paws up on my chest. And then it's at that point now I gotta take a break, because otherwise he's just gonna keep doing it. He knows if I'm BSing him or not, So he gets me pretty calmed down, and he'll do other things. It's hard to explain, but he'll put a smile on my face too. Then he'll just crazy things he does, through that course of doing that stuff. So he diverts my attention. I've only had one dog that I personally had of my own in my life, and she passed away a few years ago. My own personal dog. She was about 15, and I said I'd never get another dog. And then Doc came around. And I'd even said I wouldn't, when I walked into the PAD program, I said I would never get a male dog. No way, no how. And I have a male dog. So I have another dog and I have a male dog. And I wouldn't trade them for the world now. I'm not hesitant to go places. I'm not hesitant to go hang out with strangers, or what have you. It's still in the back of my mind, and I consciously got to tell myself, okay, we're going to go to the mall or something like that. But it doesn't stop me. I mean, having Doc there, just knowing he's with me all the time, I pretty much do what I want to do now. I kind of knew sometime when I was in high school that I wanted to serve. My middle name is Leo, and my mom used to have a younger brother. His name was Leo. He was killed in Vietnam. So serving is just something I felt I needed to do. I had to do. And I loved everything I did in the military, but I was young. I went in when I was 18, and you couldn't stop me. I was bulletproof. And the impact that the military had on me, I was still bulletproof for many, many years after I got out, but it was a shield I put up, you might want to say, where I became very good at suppressing things that were going on in my head, things I had to deal with, from when I was in the military. And honestly, if it wasn't for the right team of when I went to the VA, to the VA hospital last time, I wouldn't say I wouldn't be sitting here. It's hard to say. A few years back, it creeps up on you. Maybe when you get older or something like that, just getting older or something like that. But it crept up on me, and things were getting really bad. And that's when I decided I better get down to the VA hospital again. And just luckily, I had the right team there this time. It's just like any football team, you got to have the right coaches, what have you. And I'm just, thank God that I had the right team down there to see through my BS, because they told me straight out, you can't BS us. You're not BSing us anymore, so. Yeah, Doc is at the top of the roster on my team, for sure. Yeah, of anything, he's helped me the most, for sure. Not to take credit away from some of my team I had down in St. Cloud, but he's the top right now. The Patriot Assistance Dog Program, the PAD program, is phenomenal. I can't say enough good things about it. It's great that it's all volunteer, and it's free to the veterans, and I know how much it's helped me, and I always look at it like this. There's a lot of GIs have it way worse than I do, and it's helping them. so thumbs up all the way across the board to Pat. You know what, if you're a veteran and you can tell, you can be BSing yourself, but it catches up with you. It took close to 30 years for me to throw in the towel, so if I had done it again, I would have sought some kind of help 25 years ago, at least 25 years ago. And I know my life would have been completely different if I had done that. I would have finished college, my life would have been completely different. I just know that. Now, you know what? He puts in his hours, and he's pretty awesome. He's a pretty awesome dog. I couldn't be happier.
Derek Briggs, it's DEREKBRIGGS. My name is Derek Briggs. I served from 1989 to 93 in the U.S. Navy, 93 to 98 the U.S. Navy Reserve, and 98 to 2001 in the U.S. Army Reserve. I served during Desert Storm in 1991 for 9 months. I was overseas, and that's my military history. I was a petty officer, 3rd class. I was a machinist mate, part of security force, and also after repair locker leader. I started training to be with the helo crew to work on the helos on board our ship. And the one helo I was working with, the day before I decided that I wasn't going to go on their reps because we were unrepping with the Nimitz, taking on board ordnance, and I lost all 4 of my friends on board that helo. That was one moment that started my PTSD, and then I lost another friend. And wasn't so much service related, but we were out at one of our stops on the way back, and he passed away. We had gone to the bar to go have a drink, and he passed away right coming out of the bathroom, and to this day they still don't know what happened. After I lost my friends on the helo, basically we pulled into port, but I had had a few attacks, and basically my doctor on board the ship just said, go out, have a few drinks, get with your friends, and you'll get over it. Well, I did that for 20-some years, and I never got over it. I ended up with 4 DWIs. On my 4th DWI, I figured out that, it's time to start talking about it. I need help. I entered what we have up in International Falls. It's called drug court. I entered that. I started seeing a psychologist, a psychiatrist, started doing meds. Joe and Frankie, which are Patriot Assistant Dog team, they live up there, while my county service veteran officer said, well, you'd be a really good candidate. She had seen me in my panic and anxiety attacks. My attacks get so bad I end up in the hospital. I don't like public. I don't like where there's a lot of people. I was pretty well enclosed. I quit drinking then. As of right now, I just went over 6 years sobriety. But with Joe and Frankie, we started working with them. We came down, we did our 1 testing, and The tester just said that we did phenomenal. She had never seen a bond that there was between Kelsey and I. Part of the test is she takes Kelsey and I go down the stairs. And, you know, Joe and Frankie were down there and they were walking in front of them and everything. And I was down there for about 10 minutes. And when I came back up, she said Kelsey never took her eyes off those steps. And after that, so we passed that. We got a call a couple of weeks later to come down for Patriot Assistant Dogs training. We went through that, and last year we finished up with our public service testing. I can go to the grocery store now without having a panic attack or an anxiety attack. This year I started a tournament, golf tournament, and a public awareness event up in International Falls. I was able to put that on. I did that by myself. Next year I have a committee, so it'll be a lot easier. But you know, if I didn't have her, I wouldn't be able to do things like this. Sitting in front of a camera, I wouldn't be able to do things like this. She just helped me in so many ways with my night terrors. She wakes me up out of my night terrors. Just there for comfort. Even trying to get to sleep, she's there. You know, it's just amazing what all I'm able to do now that I wasn't able to do before. And I sure wish I would have had this opportunity, you know, and would have been diagnosed a lot sooner. But, you know, we are where we're at, and now we're just trying to give back as much as we can, you know. This is Kelsey. Kelsey, do you want to say hi? But this is what she's here for, is when I'm getting nervous, she'll let me know. Actually went to a Minnesota Vikings football game this year, and I didn't like it. I don't like loud bangs. I don't like loud noises. I don't like a lot of people. And the person I went with didn't understand why Kelsey kept pulling me. Kelsey was trying to get me out of that place. She knew I didn't want to be there, and she kept pulling me to get me out of there. Finally, after the second quarter, the gal finally understood what was going on, and we got out of there. You know, it doesn't mean that everything is solved, but you know, I made it through 2 quarters. I would have never went without her, but you know, just that's a few too many people, and you know, we're still new to this, but you know, she definitely has changed my world in so many different ways. If I'm having a night terror, she'll come up and she'll actually take her head and she'll lift my head to wake me up. She'll lick me. If she has to, she'll put her paws and everything, you know, on my chest. And then when I do wake up, she'll lay over and she'll put her head right here, and just for comfort, you know. These service dogs are amazing, and they're saving veterans' lives. You know, they are so important. I wish the VA would see that. Don't hold it in for me it was 24 years that I tried to drink it and get over it. And you know, if you got a CVSO, a county service veteran officer, go up, see them, get the help. There's lots of help out there. You know, if you're diagnosed with PTSD, panic and anxiety attacks, there's places to sign up. Patriot Assistant Dogs is a wonderful place. You can sign up, get on the waiting list, and possibly have your dog. But you know, biggest thing is asking for help. It's the toughest thing for us as veterans to do, is ask for help. I didn't do it, and like I said, it took 4 DWIs for me to finally figure out that I needed to ask for help, you know. So ask for help. Get it, it's out there. There's lots and lots and lots of ways to go about it, you know, whether it's contacting your local VA, your county service veteran officer, you know, or talk to your fellow veterans, you know, the VFWs, the American Legions, AMVETS. There's lots of ways to go about getting help. As I stated that I started the tournament and the public awareness event for service dogs this year, my whole goal is I wanted to give the gift that was given to me to another vet. I wanted to raise enough money to give that gift. And I mean, she's the biggest gift that's ever been given to me besides my daughter. She has changed my life. I will forever be grateful to Patriot Assistant Dogs and Linda and everybody else that helped me through this so that we could get certified, you know, as a service dog team. And, you know, I'm going to continue on with my event, and you know, this year I think we raised a little over $5,000. Next year we're going to try and smash that, and you know, hopefully we'll raise 15, 20. We're just going to keep trying to raise it, and you know, the more veterans we can get a dog to, the better. You know, and it's like I said, it's a gift that was given to me that I want to be able to give back to another vet. Right now I still have multiple physical problems. You know, I still suffer from PTSD, panic, anxiety attacks, depression, but I got major back problems. I'm going to be having a couple of different back surgeries coming up, but you know, I've learned now that I can get through them, you know, and that there's help there. And you know, when I come out of surgery, she's right there. It helps so much. She's there with me before surgery, and actually the one time down at the VA, she actually got to sit through the surgery between my legs with me because I was in anxiety attack so bad they said, no, we'll just let her stay right there. So doesn't happen very often, but they let me do it there, so I was grateful for that. But, you know, like I said, I made it to a football game. I made it through 2 quarters. I put on an event, you know, and I would have never done that without her. After my back surgeries, hopefully we'll be back to work, depending on how my panic and anxiety goes, you know. But we're working on it, and you know, we take it one day at a time and try and make her through. You know, she makes me smile and makes me laugh, and I love that about her. So, you know, just find a job that I can have my service dog with me at. So, you know, I am a 100% disabled veteran. So, but kind of miss the workforce, you know, but we'll do what we'll do. And that's how, like I said, all we can do is take it one day at a time.
Raymond Pizarro, Raymond, P as in Paul, Izarro.
Susan Pizarro, Susan Pizarro.
I'm Raymond Pizarro, I served in the Minnesota National Guard. I was a specialist in the infantry with the 34th Infantry Division. I deployed to Iraq. 2006 through 2007 with Alpha Company 20136 out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
My name is Susan Pizarro. This is Shandy. I was in the Army National Guard in North Dakota for 13 years. I was a sergeant and I served in the Iraq invasion 2003 through 2004.
I'm Ray Pizarro. I served in the Minnesota Army National Guard as an infantryman. I deployed to Iraq 2006 through 2007. This is my dog, Beth.
While I was in Iraq, I'm an engineer. We built guard towers and set up some of the basic infrastructure for Balad and on Bayap, which is Baghdad International Airport. We were some of the first units in after the initial invasion, so there were no showers, no toilets, no amenities, and so we built them.
I was in Iraq during the surge, or what led up to it, and our area of responsibility was between Fallujah and Ramadi, and our territory was given to us to ensure that the supply routes were to stay open and to establish a relationship with the communities that those roads supported. I, as an infantryman, also was given the task of being a small unmanned aerial vehicle or a drone operator, which would allow the unit to have a different vantage point of our area of operation. When I got home from Iraq, I dealt with a variety of issues in public that I wasn't aware of that gradually built and roller coastered out of control for a long period of time. And in talking with my counselor at the VA and some of the guys I deployed with, they had recommended that I seek a service dog to try and mitigate some of the symptoms that I was having with anxiety and panic attacks.
Whew. When I got back, I flew full speed into the life I thought I wanted, but it was basically a spiral of my inability to deal with my emotional response to my deployment and my experiences while I was there. So I engaged in a number of numbing behaviors and tried to go back to school a number of times. I tried different jobs. I tried to be good. I tried to be an American citizen. I tried to be proud of my service. I just kept trying so hard and failing. And so I kind of shut down and lost faith and lost purpose. One New Year's morning, just a couple of years ago, I called the Veteran Crisis Line. I thought, it's a new year. It can be a new life. And about 30 minutes into the year, hi, thank you for noticing. Thank you, what a good girl. Thank you. Good job, good cuddle. I'm okay. Off. About 30 minutes into the year, I called the Veterans Crisis Line and I asked them why I didn't feel new, why I didn't feel hope anymore. Hi, thank you, good cuddle. And then I went and saw a counselor. Around that time, I met Ray at the VA. Good girl, thank you, good girl. Off, good girl. And we started just talking about our healing journeys or lack thereof, and found a great number of parallels in the way we react to the world around us and in the way that we hold to hope that the future can be bright and purposeful and meaningful.
I came across Patriot Assistance Dogs through the internet and looking to see what kind of options would be available for a service dog in my area. And it led me to Lucky Dog Kennel, and I met Linda while searching.
I'd been going to the VA to try cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's a process where you recall and write down with your hands, not typing, every sight, smell, sound, taste, everything you remember about a negative incident that you experienced. And I quit going. It was too hard. Weeks later, when I followed up, they said, well, we have a group session that you can try. And I've never done group counseling, so I thought that it was a safe option, because if there were a number of people that had to share, then I would have to talk less. And that was
Dialectic Behavioral Therapy, or DBT.
DBT. That's where I met Ray.
Before I found my service animal, I spent an awful lot of time held up inside my house. I didn't feel comfortable being in public, and it seemed that the larger the crowd or the busier the area, the less likely I wanted to go anywhere. And that lasted for 3 or 4 years. And receiving my dog gave me a reason to step outside of my house and eventually to go into public and to be more active in my community. She helps me out in the morning because I know I need to take her outside. I know I need to give her exercise. I know I need to go to the store and buy her supplies. I need to be active so that she can be active. And it's really helped me come out of my shell. And over time, I've been able to gain confidence in myself and in the community to be able to focus on her in my times of need and stress rather than my environment, which more than not is in my mind. And now I'm an active volunteer with Patriot Assistance Dogs. I help out with the classes. I get to know the veterans. I get to be a mentor. I get to give them an introduction to the gift that I have, to give them hope so that they can move forward and have the same opportunities I do.
Raymond encouraged me to reach out to Patriot Assistance Dogs. After I met Beth, he brought Beth to class and he let me pet her. And he said she made a difference. And he told me about, well, he told the class, I guess, about how it brought him out from the hole he was in, how together they walked off almost 100 pounds from Ray, which is kind of a big deal. So I called and got an application, and I was lucky enough to get Shandy. When I'm upset, Shandy can sense my physiological changes and or breathing patterns and or tone of voice. And a lot of people think if a service dog is jumping on someone, it means that they're not trained or that they're bad dogs, but that is what she is trained to do. She's trained to jump up on me, to cuddle me, and bring me back right here. Bring me back to this world, not the world in my mind that's still lost overseas. So she's pretty amazing.
They just have an instinctive, they instinctively know how to break the thought process and the pattern that often causes the stress that we can't deal with. It's their cold nose, it's their big doe eyes, it's whatever it takes that they will nudge you, they will lick you, they will cuddle you, they will interrupt that space so that you're no longer concentrating on the thing that is bothering you and you concentrate on them. You give them the unconditional love that they give you. I'd say my future looks pretty bright. It's been getting better and better each day over the past 4 years. I'm to the point where I volunteer in my community and I try to impact veterans in the same way she impacted me. And I think it's going to be great.
There's hope. There's hope yet.
It's less of what I want to say to my dog, and it's more of what she says to me. I'm here for you, and we're going to go together.
If I could say one thing to my dog, it would be thank you. And, you know, maybe something cool like let's go get a snack. I don't know if they actually understand that they save lives, but they do. And if she could understand that impact, then I would like her to know that.
Linda has a really interesting way of saving pets and then in turn saving vets. And it's been the most magical thing I've ever seen in my life.
First name is Laurel, Laurel. Last name is Sharisky, Sharisky. This is Dixie May. She's my service dog. She's a German Shepherd Doberman. I myself was in the Navy. I was a nuclear machinist mate of 4 years and a couple months. So yeah, that was exciting. I was in San Diego. I was down in San Diego on Coronado Island. I served in 2012 to 2016. As soon as I got out of the service, I came straight home and I started working on my degree so I could get my bachelor's degree and go back. When I came home, my goal was to be well enough that when I finished my degree, I could take a job in my field. Doing a nuclear job is pretty extensive and you have to be pretty independent to be able to do it. When I first got home, I couldn't go to the grocery store. I could barely work. I had a part-time job and I would call in sick often. Yeah, I had to have my mom go to the grocery store with me, and she got really good at standing back to back with me and watching out to make sure no one came up behind me. And then after 6 months of that, I decided that it was enough and I needed some other help. And I asked my doctor what other help there was out there, and she told me about Patriot Assistance dogs. And that's when I started the process to get Dixie. Dixie is trained to do a lot of things to keep me calm. She does the push command, which lets me know that she's there. Dixie, up. She does blocking to make sure no one's coming up too close to me. She also does getting my back to make sure no one's coming up behind me. And she does distraction techniques too, which is really nice. We're working on Take Me Outside, and that's where I'll grab her collar like this, and she just knows to take me outside. And she also does take me outside, and that's when I'll reach down and grab her collar like this so she has a firm guide, and she'll take me outside to my truck. I've never had a dog impact me so much. This has been, I call her my guardian angel. She's always there, she's always watching out for me. I'm living by myself, I'm going to the grocery store by myself multiple times in a month. I'm taking trips. I went down to Tennessee. I went to go see my friends in Minneapolis that I haven't seen in years by myself. So I met my goal. I met my goal of being strong enough and healthy enough to be able to take a job. And I actually just accepted a really great job in New Mexico. And that would not have been possible if I had not gotten my Dixie. And she's coming with me, so I'm so excited. She's trained to do those things for me because I am constantly on guard. When you're in the military, you are trained to have a high attention to detail, to always be on guard and always expect something to go wrong. Something did go wrong in my past, and now I am in a constant state of that sort of hypervigilance and that hyper attention to detail and everything. With Dixie, I can take the mindset that I have and direct it to what I'm trying to do, knowing that she's got my back. And that's the hugest thing that is the most impact that I've ever had with a dog, because I've never trusted a dog to effectively get my 6. Like, she lets me know if someone's coming down the same aisle as me. She'll let me know if someone comes into the store that I'm in, if I'm in a small store. She's constantly alerting me about things that I would have to pick up on, but I don't anymore. So I can take my brain and I can focus on what I'm actually supposed to be doing, like going to the grocery store, or driving, or sleeping, or doing household chores like laundry or taking a shower. She's watching out for me so I can do those things and I don't have to ask someone else to do them for me. She'll just kind of tap me, or she'll sigh, or her tail will pick up. Like, each dog has their different tics. A couple of the other veterans, their dogs will like pat them. But Dixie, she'll pick up her head, she'll tilt it, she'll pick up her tail. Or she'll bump into me and let me know someone's coming up by my side and that she's got my back. Or she'll make a sound if I'm in a different room and she's watching the window for me. If someone comes by, she'll make a little like It's not a yip sound, but it's a sound that I know she's alerting me that someone's coming up to the house. My dog was trained through Patriot Assistance Dogs. I did a lot of the follow-up training, like Take Me Outside. That one was not trained. The alerting when someone's walking up to the house, I worked on her with that one just because I wanted to live by myself, and that was something that I needed her to do if I was going to live by myself. So she'll do that, and then the Take Me Outside we're working on. And she's picked up on a lot of things that I don't think she was necessarily trained to do, but she knows that I need them. Does that make sense? My future is so much more promising than it was before. Like I had stated earlier, I actually took a job that I never would have been able to do by myself. So I'm going to be able to leave. I'm going to be able to do this job in a field that I love, in a field that I have passion for, in a field that I've actually got a degree saying that I have all the skills that match my passion. Without Dixie, I could not do that. I would have to stay at home. I would have to stay in my hometown with my family and make ends meet some other sort of way. I wouldn't be able to use my skill set the way I wanted to. I don't know how to thank them enough. I really don't. When I walked into PAD, I didn't say anything. I kept my eyes down. There was another mentor there, and she asked me if I wanted to meet her dog. And I had to give it a command, and it was something like, "It's nice to meet you," so it would shake. And I couldn't. I just looked at her and I shook my head. And she took me inside the room. And then they started bringing in the dogs. And Dixie wasn't the first dog I handled. But when she came in, she looked at me. And she picked me because she looked at me and she started to come towards me. But she was with a different veteran, so she had to go away. And then I asked Linda if I could handle Dixie. And we haven't been separated since. So I just hope she understands, and I hope the whole program knows how thankful I am, because she's literally my guardian angel. She's always there.
My name is Fred Tram, F-R-E-D-T-R-A-M-M. My name is Fred Tram, and I got a dog to take care of my anxiety and depression that I was suffering because of some of the things I had to do while I was in the service. I got my dog through the Headwaters Rescue Center up at Park Rapids, and then I went to the PAD people in Detroit Lakes, and Linda helped me train the dog into a workable partnership, and it's been amazing. Every day it amazes me, the things that he does, the things that he will do, the calming effect that he has on me. And as a person who has benefited from the program, I am an avid supporter of the PAD program, and I also do some volunteer work up there. I help train other people and other dogs that have come into the system, and also do some fundraising for the PAD people. It has been a very rewarding experience. Linda and I have become good friends along with her husband Art, and we have started doing some social things which I would have never done before. Before I got the dog, I couldn't handle a weapon anymore. I had been a marksman in the service and before, and now I'm back to shooting again. I'm doing some trap shooting and some handgun target practicing and stuff, so that it's the calming effect, and the effect on my life has been more social. I don't isolate anymore. I'm not, don't want to not talk to people and not be good with people. Before I was suspicious and stuff, and now that Thor's come into my life, I can be sociable and visit with people and talk to them and enjoy the company of everyday people. I don't have to keep looking over my shoulder and saying, oh God, is he gonna attack me, or this or that, or because after I got out of the service, I was an extremely angry person. I don't know if you're familiar with the old joke about the medics or not, but my wife says that you never met one that wasn't crazy. And it's because of the things we had to do. Totally unprotected in the jungle, taking care of a wounded service guy, and I got really paranoid about stuff that was behind me and around me and stuff, just for that reason. And it's all better now. It's controllable because the dog takes care of that situation. He's alert, he's aware. I never have to worry. All I have to do is look at him. He's looking where everything is. He's also an excellent companion. He likes popcorn. So we sit on the couch and watch movies, and he gets a popcorn and I get a popcorn, and everybody's happy. The PAD program with Paula and Linda is very exceptional. They take dogs that aren't wanted. Sorry. And people who aren't wanted, and they make whole people out of them again. It's my anxiety kicking in. Sorry, but normally if there's a crowd around that's different or something, he will stand like this and block any oncoming person to me. So as he stands here, I can pet him and just be reassured of what's happening. Usually I just stand, if I'm at home and stuff, he usually is on the couch beside me. He'll come, Thor, down. He'll be here like this. I'll be sitting on the couch and he'll come. Yeah, oh, good dog, yeah, thank you.